This is the quick start guide to learner management in Parnassus. So we're going to navigate to the learner page. And you can see the list of learners already in the system. And up here, just show you quickly, you can search for a learner by their number, their name, their ULN, and various other criteria to help you find a learner. But for now, what we're going to do is add a new learner. So we're going to use the button on the left to add a learner. And what you can see on this screen, there are some fields marked with a red asterisk, and these are to show that the fields are mandatory. That is, they've got to be filled in. So I'm going to add some learner details now. And not forgetting to add in their date of birth. And also their gender. And then what I will do is save that record. Now I'm brought to the registration tab here, because naturally what you want to do usually is add a learner registration. However, I'm just going to talk you through the other tabs. The Details tab contains the learner's address, NI number, and some contact details for them if you wish to fill those in. The Access tab is where you can put down whether or not they have any disabilities or additional learning needs. Final one I'm going to look at now is just the Notes page, where you can add notes and add attachments if you need to. For now, we're going to add a registration for this learner. By hitting that green button, then we can select the centre where they're going to be studying. This is the one I have set up. They're going to do a music level 1 qualification. And we're going to register them on today's date, comes up in that box. And by hitting save, for this learner, the registration will be added. There are other ways to add registrations in bulk, and this is covered in another separate video. And you can see the registration has been added. So now we're going to look at the registration. Note the status of the registration is in progress. I hit the blue arrow here. And now I can see the main details of the qualification. Here again, the status is in progress. And down here in the blue box, we can see the credit that has been registered for this is 2 out of 4, and the total credit to date is 0 out of 4. What this means is that the 2 credits from the mandatory unit on this has been added, and that there are no achievements yet, so there are 0 credits that can be counted. So we're going to look at the Unit tab here. So we can see now that the UA1 mandatory, here's the type of it here, unit has been added to this registration. There are also some warnings, and if you click on the red text, you can see what they are. So it's telling us that actually we haven't got enough units selected, and that's because we've only got the mandatory unit and not the optional unit selected. So if we hide those again, we can actually now, in here, in select units, choose which of these optional units the learner is going to take. So for now we'll say they're going to do UA4. When we close that, we will then see they are now registered on both units, and the registration now only has one warning, just telling us that they haven't achieved their credit yet. We can actually add some achievements for this learner. So if we click in the unit tab on the actual unit, and we're going to give an assessment date, same date today. The grade, we're going to say they've passed. We're not worried about whether or not there's a release date on this result, e.g. that no one can see it till a certain date. We're going to add that achievement, and you can see here it's telling you they've got a pass, what the assessment date was, when it was changed, who the user was that added it, and then if we close that, we can add the other one. And we're going to give a pass, add it, and close. Now the learner has been registered and they've got their unit grades. And if we now look at the qualification tab for this registration, we can see they've got 4 out of 4 credits registered, and they've gained the 4 credits, and actually now they have a grade here which is a pass grade. The other thing to note in here is that the status of this registration is now become Cert Due. So for this learner now, you're ready to give them a certificate, and to do this you will go up to the Certificates tab, and this is a screen where you can see previously created batches of certificates. On all of the listings in Parnassus, you can actually click on the column header and it will sort out that column and the results. So you could do it by qualification title, and normally it would be the batch number. At the top here, there's a button called the New Batch Wizard, and that's the button you need to press to create a new batch of certificates. We're going to choose that it's a qualification certificate. You can either type in the qualification code you're interested in. You can also say that you're only interested in qualifications where there is a request the full certificate ticked. I'm just going to use the drop down, and I can see my ML1 qualification there. I'm going to pick that and go through to the next screen. And you can select learners by their centre, site, registration group code, or their learner number, but for now we'll just leave it as centre. Carry on through. You can have a date filter where grades were entered between certain dates. You can have requested only records, but for now we're going to leave this so that all centres, and we're actually going to tick the Show the Learner Selection screen so that we can see the learners that could be added to this batch. Click Next, and now we can see actually there's only one learner, Mark Robbins. It was requested. So now we can generate the batch because that is correct, there are no errors. Sometimes you will see errors here that will tell you there's something wrong with a learner. It's the status, and you can look at that. for now this one's nice and easy, nice and simple. And it's telling us qualification, what filters we have on, how many certificates will be created. Happy with that, so we can generate the certificates. And now what you can see is there's a new batch, the batch number 1402, with a full certificate, music level 1. And if you go across, you can see the admin that created it, and that there's 1 certificate in the batch. Sometimes there's more. Obviously down here you can see there were 7 in this batch. And we can look at the batch and actually see the learner details. You can check for batch errors, there aren't any. And if you wish, you can look at a transcript of the certificate. Or actually a rendition of what you will get on a certificate using another link. So we can see that that looks correct. When you've done your certificates, obviously you can set them as being printed once they've been sent to a printer. Now if we go back to the learner list, we can see the learner I created, Mark Robbins. And if we click on him, obviously when you know learner name or number, you can use a search box. We'll go into his record, and we can see now this registration, the status is here as complete. That's because he's had his certificate. Now if you go on the certificate tab, you can see the certificate that was created here, what batch it is and what certificate number it is and when it was created. If you needed to, this is where you would go to the certificate and create a reprint or a duplicate or a replacement if you needed to. And by doing that here, the current certificate would be invalid and a new certificate would be created and would appear in the certificate batch list. One other thing to note, that on most screens in Parnassus, over on the right you have a little symbol like Sherlock Holmes, and this will allow you to look at audit data for any learner. Any changes in the audit data are shown in red text. And that concludes the guide to managing learners.